The federal government has officially received a suit filed by 11 governors of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) challenging the state of emergency declared in Rivers State by President Bola Tinubu. The suit questions the legality of the president's actions and specifically whether he has the constitutional authority to suspend an elected state government and replace it with a sole administrator. The PDP governors representing various states have approached the Supreme Court to seek a ruling on whether the president can lawfully suspend a governor, deputy governor, and state assembly under the pretext of declaring a state of emergency. They argued that the move threatens the principles of constitutional federalism and undermines the powers of elected state officials. What does the declaring a state of emergency entail in Nigeria according to the 1999 Constitution, and does the president have that right to do that?
Let me say first, Rume, that what people are up against is not the declaration of a state of emergency. What they're up against is the latitude of the powers enforced by Mr. President. Can you declare a state of emergency? Yes. Under what condition? When there is threat to peace and security, when the state is overawed, when not declaring one would create monumental damage and insecurity. And then the question now is, when you declare a state of emergency, do you have the right under the law to suspend the democratic institution in the state? And that has been the argument of so many people. The NBA has said it's unconstitutional to sack a governor or suspend a governor, when in actuality the Constitution provides for separation of powers, provides for constitutional federalism, where the president heads the federal government and the sub-regional governments are headed by the state and the local government. And does the president have a right under the enforcement of the provisions of Section 305 of the Constitution to sack a governor or suspend one? And the argument is very simple. It is not right. Unfortunately, because we have a National Assembly that is at best a rubber stamp of the executive.
I'm going to get there.
You know, and would perhaps, if Mr. President chooses to turn you to a man, the National Assembly would say it's all right. That's how bad it is. And that's the argument that we have everywhere. It was what happened under President Jonathan when he had to declare a state of emergency over the states of Borno and Yobe. And the reasons were profound. He needed to tackle the issues of insurgency and security challenges. But when he did not suspend the governors of the two major states of the Northeast. Very unfortunately, instead of learning from, and that's where you understand that what is happening in Rivers is basically politics and the politics of 2027.
I like the word politics.
Sadly, Mr. President thinks that he needs years from Wike to win re-election. Don't forget what happened in 2023. So he must dance to his tune, perhaps, so that he wins the votes of River State, either by crook or subterfuge. But what is very important here, as we talk, is the fact that if you say we have a democracy, then the rule of law must be preeminent. Then the rule of law must be adhered to. Very unfortunately, everything about the declaration of the state of emergency that happened on the 18th of March was unconstitutional, illegal, and against the intent of the Constitution. So I think that it is salutary for the 11 PDP governors to have gone to the Supreme Court to interpret the provisions of the law. I think it's also very important for us to say to Mr. President, perhaps the Attorney General of the Federation, that when you have a constitutional federalism, nothing in the intent of the Constitution gives the right to one arm of that federalism, the federal government, to suspend a state governor. It's antithetical. It's against the spirit and intent of the Constitution.
It may seem as though we're living in a country whereby anything goes, anybody can come anywhere and do whatever. How do you think we can, take back the reins when it comes to practicing true democracy in Nigeria?
Rima, let me say this clearly, that at best what we have is civilian rule. At best, that's what we have.
So I want to ask you this question for a start. Do you think we really have a democracy in Nigeria? Or do you agree with Professor Chris that what we have is a civilian rule? The other question I will ask you before we go and break down this lawsuit filed by the 11 PDP governor against Bola Tinubu's administration, is Nigeria working for you? Put that in the comment section. How have you felt this administration's rule since 2023? So before we break down this lawsuit, I want to start by saying if you're meeting this content for the first time, like, share, and subscribe. And also, if you've been following us and you've not yet subscribed, please subscribe, like, and share. And also recommend this channel to others. Let's have these intelligent conversations we normally have on this channel. Also, watch this to the end because this is for you and I to make conversations and figure out how to actually make our country better. Listen, you might think your opinion is not important, but it is because you have a stake in Nigeria as much as I have a stake in Nigeria. So back to the meat of the matter. 11 PDP governors have sued Bola Tinubu to court to challenge the legality or the illegality of the state of emergency imposed on Rivers State. The question is, do you really agree with it? Or do you think that Rivers State is getting to a place of chaos and the president needed to stave that off by imposing this state of emergency? Or do you agree that it's all about 2027 politics to get Bola Tinubu re-elected and he needed to dance to the tune of Wike, to get that structure that Wike talked about so that they can win the 2027 election again? There's been a lot of conversation about what will happen in 2027. There was this Alibaba conversation he reviewed about the chat he had with Obasanjo, and Rivers State being one of those states where he needed to have in order to win election. Do you agree that that's part of the permutation here? Because a lot of people in the comment section say that's not true. Or do you agree there's an iota of truth playing out there as well? That this imposition of the state of emergency is part of the 2027 game to win election or re-election by Bola Tinubu? This is the question I'm asking you. So you put that in the comment section. Now, this 11 governors going to challenge the legality or illegality of it. Do you have that same confidence that the Supreme Court will interpret this constitution as it's been written? Because remember, the Nigerian Bar Association, the NBA, already declared and said that declaration is illegal. But even the latitude of that same power that Bola Tinubu is actually exhibiting, do you even agree that he has the right to suspend a sitting governor? Now, remember, it's not the state of emergency that's the problem. Is what is the state of emergency is declared for and how far-reaching it should go, where the president has the right to sack a duly elected governor. Imagine you and I go to Bola Tinubu and say, we want to sack you because you're not working. Do we have that sort of right? Does that make sense? The only way you can remove a sitting governor is by impeachment or death or inability to carry out his task as per the Constitution. The same thing applies to the president. So if that same rule applies, how come a governor is sacked for a day? Let's talk about 6 months. And you put an administrator that the system does not recognize, the Constitution does not recognize. The reason why I'm emphasizing on this and asking you these questions is this. When something is tried and they get away with it, it gives them more latitude to try another one again. Until you become a victim, then before you don't realize that that was a mistake. Don't wait until that time. So the top of the question was, do you agree with it? Now, I ask you the same questions. Was Nigeria working for you? Imagine that our politicians from PDP, Labour Party, other parties are defecting to APC. The same APC that majority of Nigerians, remember, the key word is majority of Nigerians don't want. That's the same APC that our politicians are defecting to. Take, for example, the former governor contestant for PDP under PDP, Jando guy, right? Lagos State. It's not left PDP to go to APC because they don't see any path to any victory because they know the system is already rigged. They don't trust INEC. They don't trust the police. They don't trust the system. So, and they don't have any conviction anyway. So it was always about them in the first place. So they've now switched over to the APC. That's the same APC Nigerians don't want. But that's the same APC they've all gone to. Because they don't trust the system, because they know the system is going to be rigged against them. So my question to you, is the system working for you? Is Nigeria working for you? How has it been since 2023 when Bola Tinubu took over? I'm not going as far as Buhari's time. I'm only saying since 2023. Has life been okay for you, for your loved ones since he took over? These are the kind of questions we're asking so that we can ask other people questions like this and we can make sure that we are aware of the kind of decision we're making. Because all of these things they're doing is towards 2027. So it would be foolish for me and you to think we have to wait until 2027 before we then start the sensitization and then sanitation of other people's mindset as to what they need to do in terms of 2027. Nigeria is not working. The policies of the government is not working. So if the government policies aren't working, then it won't work for you. And what should happen normally is this: the people always vote against a government whose policies don't work. For example, in the UK, the Conservative Party was there for 15 years or thereabout? They voted them out in mass protest. Donald Trump won because of protest vote. We have to do the same. Because when the government policies aren't working, you have to get rid of them and get new ones that would work. I have not seen these government policies working. The cost of living has skyrocketed. Inflation is on a very high, all-time high. And Nigeria has been in recession and back and out of back of recession and going back is like a cycle. We just keep going back and coming back and going and coming back into it because there's no solution. And now they're talking about giving youth corpers 2 years to do youth corp because they can't really find solution to create jobs because the system is not working. So the people will suffer for it. That's why I'm telling you, I'm emphasizing this. Wake up. So join in sharing this content. Let's have intelligent conversations in the comment section. Get other people to be part of it. Okay? Let's have this conversation and let's try and move our country forward. We cannot leave it in the hands of INEC, and we cannot let them introduce and give to us another court-selected president or governor. Look at the case of Edo State. So whilst the PDP governors are challenging the court case, and this case with Bola Tinubu in court, it's now our responsibility to help others become aware of it. Let them, help them if you can, when they go get their PVC. So follow them. The ones that can't really read or write, you have to follow them because we're all feeling the pinch. Even the one that doesn't have money today, you're the one giving them something. The ones in the village that are calling you for help in the rural areas, you're the one giving them something. Because now you're now the one subsidizing for the government's failure. So the load is on you, not on them, because they're buying themselves yachts and planes and building, rebranding a conference center and building a 21 trillion naira house for the vice president. So they don't care for you. So you have to carry the pain of their bad policies. That's why we're talking about this whole thing on this channel. So wake up, be part of the conversation. Share this content. Let us know in the comment section. I asked this before. Is Nigeria working for you? How has it been since Bola Tinubu took over? Do you agree with this state of emergency? Do you think it's about the 2027 play or not? Or was it up to the level where a state of emergency should be called because they talked about the pipeline vandalization? And none of the security officials, whether it's the IGP of the police, the defense chief of defense staff, or the naval admirals, whatever, none of them actually had any consequences. But the governor, I'm not a pro-Fubara supporter because I believe he was in bed with Wike, so he knew what they were doing when he signed that contract with Wike. But the fact that what has been done is illegal still remains the same. So, and that's what we have to kick against. Because if you don't realize, you and I might be the next victim. I don't want to be the victim to a bad administration. I want to speak up quickly, sensitize others quickly. So speak up for Nigeria. Don't keep quiet. Let us challenge the illegality of this. And let us not keep quiet because when we keep quiet, they carry on. We give them the impunity to carry on. So share this content. Again, as I said, if you're meeting this content for the first time, like, share, and subscribe. And if you've been following us and you've not yet subscribed, do so. Please subscribe and also recommend this channel to others. but also turn on the notification bell as well so that you get notified when new contents like this are released. As always, God bless you and catch you up in the next video. Bye-bye for now.